What kind of human being actually asks,
"Oh, hey man, I punched my girlfriend in the face, but like, you think I'm in the wrong?"
what? What is wrong with you? There is never an excuse to harm the person that you love. No. Immediately no. You can't convince me. There's nothing you can say that can convince me otherwise. Hi my lovelies! Happy apple picking day! Just a quick reminder, if you want a chance for your story to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can send it to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple. And as we go on, I would love to hear all your thoughts and opinions right down in the comments below. I don't always have the time to respond to everything, but I really do sit there and scroll and read as much as I can. But also just remember, we all come from different branches of the apple tree, and those different branches lead to different experiences, and those experiences shape our opinions and perspectives. So if someone has a different opinion than you, it's probably just due to that experience that they have. They've never walked a mile in your shoes, and you've never walked a mile in theirs. So just keep that in mind, that just because someone hasn't experienced something doesn't make them a bad person. And sometimes you can just agree to disagree with someone, and that's fine. It's so funny when people are like, we don't need reminders, but like, no, every week there's proof you do. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking. Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for telling my daughter no one's going to her wedding? About 2 years ago, my brother, my nephew, my mother, they were all in a tragic car accident. All of our family members unfortunately passed away, and it was devastating. It was very difficult for me to grieve their loss, and even worse for my father and my sister-in-law. 1 year ago, my daughter Betty, 25 female, was proposed to by her fiance, and they began to plan the wedding. During the process, they chose their wedding date based on the day that they met about 7 years ago. That also happens to be exactly 2 years since the death of our family. Like, to the day. I tried to talk to her about not picking that day because it's still a very difficult process for a lot of the family involved, and even myself. But she insisted, saying that the venue had that date available and it would be perfect because none of the other dates really worked out for her, so that's what they were going with, and I respected that decision. Recently, she sent the invitations to everyone, and just as I predicted, my sister-in-law, my nephew, my father, they all said that they weren't going to attend, and though they didn't say this to her, they all told me that the date chosen was very offensive to them. They couldn't believe that on the 2-year anniversary of our family's death, that my daughter wanted them to go out and celebrate, like, especially when she knows how difficult the grief process has been for them. I decided to remain neutral. I wasn't gonna get in an argument with either side, and just went ahead and confirmed both my and my husband's presence at the wedding. Today, though, my daughter called me extremely unhappy that no one but me and my husband confirmed to go to the wedding. My husband doesn't have family on his side, so my family was all she was gonna have at the wedding, and she expected everybody to go, but they weren't interested. She tried to explain why that date was so important to her, but they refused. I tried to be supportive, and I said, Betty, this date is difficult even for me, and of course as your mom, I'm definitely going to your wedding. But you have to understand that just like choosing this date was your choice, them not going because they're still in mourning is also their choice. I did warn you that was likely going to happen. These are just the choices that everyone has made for themselves. Well, she did not like that. She exploded at me, saying that everyone was against her and it's not her fault that the dates coincided, and everyone should be making way more of an effort to go for just a few hours for her. And even worse, she couldn't believe that I was rubbing it in her face and saying, I told you so. I don't know where she got that from my words, but I guess that's how she took them. She hung up on me immediately without even letting me respond, and we haven't spoken since. My husband says he understands exactly why I said it, but that I should have just stayed quiet. I don't know. I'm worried that I'm ruining this for her. I mean, this is her wedding. She should be excited. Did I ruin it? Was I the bad apple? We've seen a lot of wedding stories where the bride and groom may have picked something that the guests may or may not agree with, and everyone kind of has a choice to make. And I think that this is still like an example that I would put under that roof. I think, the bride is well in her right to pick whatever date that she wants, And that's fine, and that's her wedding, it's her choice, with the groom, of course, it's his wedding too. But you know, her guests then also get a choice. And whether it's picking a date that's just uncomfortable or, you know, inconvenient for your guests, or whether they're picking to have a child-free wedding when a lot of their guests have kids, whether they're having a dry bar or a full bar and their guests may or may not like be on board, those are all choices that the people who are getting married are welcome to choose. And it's really fair game for them to pick whatever works for them. However, if you're going to make those choices, you just have to understand that then your guests can either opt in or opt out. And I don't think it was crazy for the mom to say, hey, they're not against you. This date is just a really difficult time. And you know, I let you know that this might happen, and I get you're upset about it, but you know, this time is really difficult for everybody. Like, I don't read that as, I told you so. Like, I don't think there was any malicious intent by it, and I do think that some people may take it as an I told you so, but I'm more so reading it as like a trying to build a connection of understanding each other in the situation, if that makes any sense. I don't know if I'm speaking English. Sometimes I like think something in my head and I'm like, yeah, how do I verbalize that? Like for me, first of all, I think the mom, again, wasn't trying to pull an I told you so moment, but was more so trying to make sure her daughter knew that the family wasn't against her and didn't hate her. And like, I think that she just wanted to explain to the daughter, this isn't a personal thing. Like, it's not about the bride. They're not going to the wedding because of the bride. And I think she was just trying to explain that, but it didn't come off that way. And then also the daughter, I'm almost wondering if like, I genuinely, and not to project anything, but I'm hoping what happens is that once she calms down, she kind of realizes that yes, she was upset at the situation, but maybe not at her mom. Like, being a daughter, you know, I know that there are tons of things that I'll be upset about and I'll call my mom about, and I'll just sit there and vent and be upset. And yeah, sometimes I can get a little passionate, but I'm not upset at my mom. I'm just upset in front of my mom, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping it's one of those situations. And then once she comes down, she'll kind of realize it. That's my hope. But I don't think the mom was wrong. And I definitely can see where some people might think that she was, but I'm choosing to read it and see it as she was just trying to make sure the daughter didn't think that it was like a personal slight that they're not going. So I'm under that umbrella. I'm going to go good apple. Am I the bad apple for mom shaming a mother? I have an assistance dog in training. He's almost 2 and is about ready for his final exams with the organization he's training with. All that being said, he's still a dog, still an animal, a living, breathing creature who responds to his environment. So here's the situation. We were waiting at a bus stop recently and there was a mom with 2 small children. The mom was on her phone and the kids, who looked to be about 2 and 5 years old, were running around the sidewalk and even like into the road and the streets. My dog was sitting in a heel position and I was about 6 to 8 feet away from the mom. Well, that's when the youngest, the one who looked to be about 2, ran towards my dog at full speed, who, yes, was fully vested as an assistance dog, and reached towards him. I reached to block and I said, nope, sorry, can't say hi, he's working. But before I could even get it all out, the kid just lunged at my dog's face. The dog, of course, barked because he was startled, but that's all he did, was let out one bark and then scooted backwards away from the kid. That's when the mom finally got off her phone and started berating me for not having the dog under control. I'm not overly proud of it, but I was rather short back. But I just wanted to leave it at that. Quick, short, sweet, until after the bus ride, when I heard her telling a bunch of people that my dog attacked her child unprovoked. That's when I lost my temper and I started screaming at her that she was, 1, either lying or delusional, since, again, my dog barked one. And two, that she was a disgusting human being that shouldn't have children if she can't keep them under control and is not letting them run around in the roads unaccompanied. Why is she letting them approach random strange dogs while she sits there playing on her phone, not even paying attention? She's been bad-mouthing my assistant's dog to multiple people and businesses in our community, but thankfully my dog's behavior speaks for himself and no one's really paid her any attention. But I feel like I might have embarrassed her and maybe I crossed a line by mom shaming. So thinking of like the actual question of, oh, was I wrong for mom shaming? I don't think there's anything wrong with like, one, standing up for yourself. You know, if she's going around telling people that your dog attacked her child, that's really serious, okay? For those that really don't understand the severity of this, dogs who attack people, especially children, unprovoked, like, it can get really bad and messy, you know, depending on who it is and who they report it to and the exact situation. Like, they can call for the dog to be put down. Okay, those kinds of accusations are very serious. It is not a lighthearted thing. Like, that's a big deal. So I definitely don't think standing up for yourself in that regard is bad at all, in the slightest bit. Like, you have to do that for the safety of your dog, especially a service dog that's supposed to be taking their final exams and getting that certification. Like, that kind of accusation can mess with that. You don't let that happen. I don't like the disgusting human being thing, and I say that knowing that if someone was aggressively attacking my cats, like verbally of course, because if it was physically, they would just disappear. I'm kidding, of course. But seriously, like if someone was sitting there and just like, I can see myself getting very upset and very passionate, and I also may not be very friendly because we all know that those cats, even though they're avoiding me right now, are my life, are my entire life, okay? I know that it is wrong though, or at least I feel like it's wrong to just like, you're a disgusting human being. And like, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, she is letting her children play in the road. That is really unsafe. Like, I'm not saying the mom didn't deserve to get yelled at. My morality is just kind of, you know, ping-ponging back and forth of like, I've never been a fan of name calling, you know? Like, that's just, y'all know me. I've never liked the name calling. I think that you can get your point across without name calling. And I'm not saying that this person is the bad apple for it. I definitely would not rate this person a bad apple. You guys just know that I'm never gonna be a fan of name calling. Like that's consistently been something that it's just unnecessary. You know, you can tell someone off and you can make your point and you can, like, I don't like name calling. We know that. Now I feel like someone's gonna go back and find some, like, one instance or something where I didn't hate it. We're people. We're all human beings, man. I cannot like name calling and still not be perfect and slip up every now and then. Like, we're human beings, okay? I think I am gonna go good apple, but I don't think I would have said the exact same things. But again, like, you have to stand up for your dog in that situation. I probably would have also said something to the mom about letting her kids just run around in the road. It's not about insulting her or mom shaming her. Like, that's unsafe. A 2-year-old, I mean, if you don't have kids, it's very possible that you guess their ages wrong. I do that all the time. But still, young kids in the road, I might have said something. If they were messing with, like, me and my stuff, of course. Like, that's when I would take it upon myself to say something. So yeah, I'm gonna go good apple. Again, I might not have acted the exact same way, but I'm still gonna rate them a good apple, I think. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for siding with the babysitter over my wife? My wife and I have a babysitter who we've been going to for years. We have 2 sons and a daughter, and we've hired her ever since our oldest was a baby. Originally though, it was mostly her mom looking after the baby while she was helping. But now she's 16, so she looks after all the kids on her own, and my 2 oldest love her. The youngest will once he's like old enough to love. The other day, our kids' daycare was closed for renovation, and Daisy, our babysitter, was kind enough to offer to take care of them after school. When I got home from work though, I found my wife yelling at Daisy while Daisy was just sobbing and apologizing. I asked my wife what was going on, and all she did was start yelling that Daisy cost us so much money. My first thought was that maybe she broke something, but my wife wasn't telling me what it was. She told Daisy she wouldn't be paying her for her time and to get the F out of our house and never come back or she'd call the cops. Daisy ran out crying and I left my wife to calm down while I comforted the kids who were very upset that my wife was yelling at Daisy. When everyone got calmed down, I finally got the full story. Apparently, what happened was my mother was looking after the kids until about 3:30 while we were at work. This was gonna be Daisy's first time looking after the youngest son, the infant, but we weren't worried about it because she looked after the other babies before. The problem was none of us remembered to tell Daisy that my youngest son has breath holding episodes. This occurs when he gets frustrated or is in pain. He just holds his breath. To stop it, you just kind of have to blow on the baby, or a lot of times they'll just snap out of it on their own. We're told that it's completely normal and relatively safe in babies, but the episodes can sometimes cause passing out and blueness. It's become kind of normal for him. I mean, he usually wakes up within a few seconds. But again, we forgot to tell Daisy this. So when our son held his breath and passed out and turned a little blue, Daisy panicked and called 911 and then my wife. My wife is pissed that Daisy called 911 for nothing and wasted our money on an ambulance ride. I don't agree with her. How was Daisy supposed to know? We never told her. Now my wife and I are arguing because I think Daisy did the right thing, but my wife doesn't. Yesterday we got into such a heated argument that we both said some pretty hurtful things, and now she's staying at her mother's house for a few days while she thinks over our priorities in the relationship. I'm honestly shocked it's gotten to this point, so I'm just kind of looking for input here. Was I the bad apple? Oh my gosh. I didn't know that a condition like that was real. That's terrifying. Oh my god. Babies already seemed so scary to me, now it's even worse. I am so shocked that the mom is more concerned about the money for the ambulance than like the safety of her children, right? Because this babysitter had no idea that that baby was gonna be okay, right? And she was on it, she was paying attention, she was ready, and she did what she felt like she needed to do for the safety of that child. That response, that quick hands-on, like, I'm gonna get it done, I'm gonna save the day, like, that's the kind of person you want watching your children. That's the kind of person you want caring for them. I'm just not understanding why better safe than sorry isn't the answer when it comes to the safety of your children, like the health of an infant. I mean, for all Daisy knew, this child was dying. I think anyone in their right mind would see an infant not breathing, turning blue, and call 911. Like, that should be the response. And to be mad at that, like, wow. Like, not even like initial anger and frustration at the cost of an ambulance. Because I know someone's gonna bring up maybe they can't afford it. Healthcare in America is very expensive, okay? I get that. So like, I can see initial like frustration with crap. I didn't do my job as a parent and let this girl know about my child's condition, and that has cost me money. It wasn't Daisy that cost them the money. It was their negligence to inform the babysitter of this condition. But like, to double down and scream at her and pick a fight with your husband, like, this is some very gross behavior. I'm not a fan at all. Like, again, no, Daisy did not cost you that money. You cost you that money because you didn't give that babysitter the tools, the information, and the knowledge that she needed to properly care for your child's, I'm assuming, rare condition, because I've never heard that be a thing. I've never heard of that. Even if it's common amongst babies, people who don't have babies with that condition don't know that. So I 100% commend this man for putting his foot down and telling his wife, no, this was not her fault. This was on us. And I don't know what's going on with that woman. That's a little red flaggy to me. Like, to be doubling down in this instance, that's a little red flaggy to me. I'm going good, Apple. Go husband. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for punching my girlfriend in the face? I, 28 male, have been with my girlfriend, 28 female, for 6 years. She enjoys doing this thing where she constantly tries to scare me. I have a lot of trauma that I'm receiving help for, and she's well aware of this. Because of my trauma, I'm pretty startled easily, and she finds it hilarious. She'll run up behind me and try to scare me, or pretend to leave the house and then sneak up behind me and put a hand over my mouth and nose as a prank. I've asked her to stop this several times throughout the years, and she won't, and just claims she's doing it because she loves me and is having fun with me. This week, I've had an awful week, and I've had to switch medication, so I really just haven't been feeling great. I went to sleep and woke up with someone's hand over my mouth and my nose, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was just coming out of a deep sleep, so I couldn't register what was happening, just that someone was trying to suffocate me, so I just punched them in the face. Turns out it was my girlfriend getting home late from work. She's never pranked me in my sleep before and thought it would be funny to scare me that way. I yelled at her asking, "What the heck are you doing?" And she just started crying and claiming that I abused her. I said I didn't know it was her. I had no way to know that it was her. And she just kept saying that she was just joking around with me and kept calling me an abuser. I apologized profusely and tried to help, but she told me that I'm awful and I'm gonna be just like my parents who abused me. I feel so bad. I mean, it genuinely was an accident. And she won't listen and is giving me the silent treatment because of it. I don't know what else to have done. Like, again, I didn't know what I was doing. But I need to know, was this my fault? Like, am I the bad apple? This is one of those times I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. You need to run. This is not the girl for you. This is a toxic person. Not OP, the girlfriend. This is so gross. I'm getting a little fired up. For her, trauma is not funny. Like, when someone has trauma, it's not cute, it's not fun to joke with. Like, that's a serious thing, okay? Like, and we just learned from the end of it, like, this was physical abuse that this guy is getting over. Right? There's nothing funny about that. There's nothing cute about that. Like, that's just tragic. And to poke fun in general at people's like real trauma is gross in itself. Like, absolutely disgusting. I cannot imagine what kind of sane person would actually believe it's okay to make someone constantly relive their trauma, to scare them, to like bring back the initial fear. Like, that's so gross. And I've said this so many times. I cannot stand pranks that harm people, whether it's physically or emotionally or mentally, whatever. I think it's so gross. I hate it. This, I think, is the biggest red flag prankster I've ever had in a Bad Apple stories. Like, we've seen, those loyalty tests and the pranks, like the one girl that pretended like she needed medical attention. I feel like there was a guy a few weeks ago, I can't remember what he did. It was some kind of test. Oh, it was literally like the guy that tested the money loyalty kind of thing. I guess that wasn't as much of a prank as the other one, but no, this lady takes the cake. Like, I do not like her. Absolutely no. You're not the abuser. Like, in what world would smothering you in your sleep be funny? I would hope that if you are genuinely feeling like someone is trying to suffocate you, that you wouldn't just take it. That you would fight back, Because what sane person is gonna do that for fun? Like, no. You didn't do anything wrong. She messed around and she found out. You're not the abuser, she's the abuser. Like, it's one of those things that I know people like that exist. I can't believe people like that exist. Like, I'm floored. Like, I feel like I have so much to say, but I don't know what else to say. I'm just speechless, But all that matters is that you didn't abuse her. You literally reacted to someone trying to suffocate you. Oh, well, it's just a prank. No, that's not a prank. There's nothing funny about that. There's nothing cute about that. This new age of pranks has got to go. Like, it's not funny. It's getting, like, I feel like every year, every so many years, they just ramp up and get more dangerous and more dangerous and more dangerous. Like, I hate them. I just hate them. Again, I'm just rambling because like I'm fired up, but also at a loss for words, but like feel like I need to say something because I'm amped up and I need to take a deep breath. Wow. Absolutely a good apple. So I got 4 good apples. I feel like that's been happening a lot lately, yeah? Maybe the bad apples are getting scared. Maybe they're like nervous. They don't want to get called out anymore. I feel like that happens a lot of times though. Like people who are concerned about, did I do the right thing? Like a lot of times are in the right and they're just like self-conscious about hurting someone's feelings. But then people who don't do the right thing, a lot of times they're like, I don't need to ask anybody. I know I'm right, even though they're not. So I feel like it's normal for like every now and then there's just so many good apples because like good apples are more likely to ask, you know? But I want to know, did you get something similar to me? Did you also get all good apples? Did you get something different? Let me know down in the comments. I love to read your opinions. For your well wishes, today is National Cheese Doodle Day. That is exciting. I love cheese. Cheese and potatoes are like my favorite foods ever. You can eat them in so many different ways. Oh my gosh, my mouth is salivating. I love cheese and I love potatoes. So go to the store, get you some cheese doodles. I know I'm about to go get my car keys. I'm about to go get me one of those big tubs. And if you are lactose intolerant, it is also National Absinthe Day, but not everyone, I think that's an alcohol. I don't drink a lot, but not everyone can have that because I feel like there's also gonna be people here who are minors and that's okay. It's not a great options for National Blank Day today. Oh, I just realized it's National Cheese Doodle Day and our background is orange. I love it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and hope to see you all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.